Contrary to what many anime channels say, power escalation isn't a bad thing. It all comes down to how it's executed. Let me explain. I'll split escalation into two types. Type 1 power escalation is improvement. This refers to increasing the effectiveness of skills that a character already has. Type 2 is expansion. This refers to acquiring new powers and abilities. When I mention escalation, I'm specifically talking about a character moving from their introductory skills to an advanced one. A character displaying superhuman speed the first time they fight doesn't count as escalation because we knew nothing about their speed beforehand. But a lot of these rules still apply to new characters that raise the power ceiling. Spoilers for battle manga and sports manga ahead. Let's begin. Rule 1 of power escalation: it must be predictable. I'll use sports anime as an example. In a sports manga, we have a certain expectation for types 1 and 2 based on real athletes. We roughly know the upper limits an athlete can reach in terms of speed and strength. We have an idea of how many techniques and strategies they can learn and how much they can improve one skill. We also have a general idea of the skill ceiling or game IQ for the different technical areas of a sport. We know the rules of the sport and how it's played. Therefore, we know almost every possible way a character can escalate for type 2 escalations. Good sports stories may push it a little, but not too much. For example, in haikyuu, spoiler alert, when Hinata is able to recover like a libero, set, serve, and more in the final match, it is predictable because we know the rules and how the sport is played. We are aware that all of these actions can be performed by any player. It just takes practice and time. When it comes to fantasy, there are extra requirements. Rule 2 of power escalation: it must be foreshadowed. In fantasy, we apply what humans are capable of as the physical ceiling until shown otherwise. Fantasy stories need to set the skill ceiling for both types by showing off early examples. For type 1, physical abilities that are superhuman need to be foreshadowed. For example, if a character will eventually gain super strength, speed, or durability, another character should be shown doing this early on. JJK is a good example. In the first chapter, we see how strong Yuji is. Later, we see Todo also possesses superhuman strength, so when other characters show up with super strength or gain super strength, it's been foreshadowed. We need a ceiling for how strong they can get ahead of time. This ceiling can later be broken, but it should be before a main character reaches that point. However, how much a magical ability can be improved doesn't need to be foreshadowed in most cases, because the possibilities could be endless. Type 2 is mostly centered around skills and magical abilities. For magical abilities that are applicable to multiple characters, another character should show it off before the escalating character reaches it. For example, if a character in Naruto escalated by learning all 5 elements, it would be well done, because we have already seen characters like Kakashi and Hiruzen use multiple elements early on. Likewise, if a character in Bleach escalated by learning Shikai, Bankai, Kido, Ho-Ho, or Hakuda, it would be well done, because we have already seen characters use each of these, and even some that use multiple. And if a character in Jujutsu Kaisen escalated by learning domain expansion, or becoming physically superhuman, it would be well done, because domain expansion is a universal technique shown by many pros, and characters like Yuji and Todo show superhuman physicality early on. For hidden or unique abilities, they should be hinted at a good amount of time before their usage. Here are examples. The Kyuubi and Sukuna living inside their respective protagonists is established in the first chapters, so their unique abilities that will become a form of escalation have been foreshadowed. Rule 3 of power escalation: there must be weaknesses. This is a rule in general magic systems overall. What makes a power system interesting isn't just its abilities, but also its weaknesses, drawbacks, and limitations. If a character's powers have no weaknesses to be targeted, the character becomes broken, and the author is forced to make something convoluted to stop them. Type 2 escalation doesn't require any drawbacks because there is usually a ceiling in place. For example, there are only 5 elements in Naruto, and for Shinigami, there is nothing higher than Bankai. Furthermore, Type 1 escalation should preferably branch out rather than go straight up. For example, Rasengan escalates by getting stronger and bigger. This is a boring form of escalation and creates a problem that I'll discuss later. Chidori, on the other hand, branches out into different uses for various situations like Senbon, Stream, and Spear. Characters getting physically stronger, faster, and more durable, and attacks getting bigger and stronger are usually bad forms of power escalation. Earlier, I mentioned how physical ceilings for Type 1 need to be established because of our understanding of human capabilities. With magic, there is no understanding we have outside of the author's writing. A Rasengan can keep getting bigger and stronger, and we can't really say that doesn't make sense. When escalating straight up, there are usually no weaknesses. When Naruto has giant Rasengan, he has no reason to use a regular one. It might take more chakra, but the amount of chakra is controlled by the author and has never been shown to be an issue in the story. When branching out, there are inherent weaknesses to those branches. Phoenix Flower Jutsu has more shots in range than Fireball Jutsu, but it's not as big and strong. Chidori's Stream has an area of effect damage, but it doesn't have the piercing power or precision as regular Chidori. With magic, Type 1 shouldn't escalate straight up unless there are drawbacks that come with it. Kaioken is a great example. Goku's physical prowess and magical attacks increase, but at the cost of his physical health. This cost is actually shown and plays a role in his fights whenever the move is used. If Type 1 increasing upwards is done like this, then it has a similar effect as branching out. Something is gained, but something is lost. One form isn't superior to the other. Rule 4 of power escalation: there must be time. The amount of time it takes to acquire these abilities has to be somewhat equivalent to how powerful the ability is. Dangai Ichigo is an example of what not to do. This power-up is brought up right before it's used, in chapter 408, and Ichigo uses what amounts to a hyperbolic time chamber to get a massive increase in power in 416. That's 8 chapters. JJK spoiler alert: Maki from the JJK manga is a worse example. In just 1 chapter, she also uses a hyperbolic time chamber to get a massive power spike. In both of these examples, the increase in power far outweighs the on-screen time spent training for it. It doesn't matter how long the story tells me they spent training. If it literally takes 10 or less chapters or a couple of real-world minutes to get an insane power boost, that's ridiculous. This leads me to power-ups or transformations. A lot of this relates back to what I've said about power escalation. When planning a transformation, the author should introduce or hint at the power a while before it is used. It shouldn't be introduced late. The character should be shown training for it or receiving it ahead of time. The actual power-up doesn't need to be shown though. The character with the power-up can also be implied to have gained this power through another character ahead of time rather than showing them training for it. I'll go over good and bad examples in terms of execution. Naruto's Nine Tails chakra is a good one, as mentioned earlier. Kurama being sealed within Naruto is established in the first pages of chapter 1, and he uses it much later. The same goes for Bankai and Shikai in Bleach. Shikai is first shown by Renji before the Soul Society arc, and Bankai is stated to be achieved by all captains. Sasuke's curse seal is another good one. We see Sasuke get it from Orochimaru and he uses it later. Uryu's Ginrei Kojaku is also good. We knew he lost his powers after the Soul Society arc, and we see him training to regain them. While we didn't expect a different bow with new powers, we knew he gained some kind of power, which is good enough. Renji's second Bankai and Ichigo's final Shikai and Bankai are also good power-ups. We are told early on in the final arc that the two aren't using their true powers. We also see them train for their powers, and the actual power-up isn't revealed until later. Finally, Haki in One Piece is a good power-up. We see quite a few characters use it ahead of time. We see the main characters train during the time skip, and after the time skip, they can use it. For bad examples, the Endy's Lobby power-ups aren't done well. While they are cool, we never see the characters train for them, and it is never hinted at ahead of time that they had these powers. Additionally, I'm not even sure when they would have had the time to gain these powers. Naruto's Cape Chakra form is also a bad power-up. Naruto gains this out of nowhere, no foreshadowing, no training. Chad's left arm is another power-up done poorly because like the rest, it isn't received or trained for ahead of time, it just suddenly appears. And I already talked about Dangai Ichigo. In conclusion, power escalation is done well when it is predictable, foreshadowed, has risk and reward, and is given enough time to happen. Power-ups are done well when they are set up through hinting, mentioning, or showing the power-up gained a good amount of time before it is used. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and help me revolutionize the manga industry by buying my manga and spreading the word. All important links will be in the description.